So in the beginning, the product that Rustin had coded was taking off virally. So people wanted community. You could tell that if you look at the bulletin boards and the community platforms that people were using, they hadn't changed in like 15 years. They still looked like they looked like in the 80s and 90s. And his idea was to actually give people this rich environment, make it free for bloggers, give them a way to take the 100,000 unique visitors that are coming to their blog every day and let them interact with each other. Because our pitch was, if they have something in common with you and you have 100,000 people every month visiting your site, if you put them in touch with each other, imagine what kind of engagement you're going to create. So it was all about starting with the influencers, and we didn't even call them influencers back then, but that was what I saw was, I put a community on my blog and people come and interact, and then somebody comes to my community who also has a blog, and we would get, hundreds of people a day adding this community platform to their blogs, and it was, that was happening at the same time that publishing tools are taking off. So WordPress and Blogger and Movable Type and TypePad make it really easy to publish content. Twitter was, I started on Twitter in 2007. I think it was about a year old. Rich media, the ability to take video, take mobile video, edit it, publish and share it. So what Rustin had seen that I was totally enrolled in was the idea that look how easy it is for the everyday person who knows a lot to produce content and share it. And that was a while before the product actually looked like that, but that was his vision, and that was what sold me. That was what I saw.
So one of the interesting challenges for any startup when you're creating either a brand new market or an emerging market is to get other people from the outside to understand it, especially when it's not fully built out. Yeah. How difficult was that?
Well, you know pretty well because I pitched you pretty early, Brad. You can tell the story. So yeah, we can turn the table on you, Brad. What did the early product look like, and what did you think about it?
All right, so the backstory here is we actually met. I was vetting for an angel investor in town, and I heard, you really need to go check this thing out, BlogFrog. And so we met at the Laughing Goat, another coffee shop with free Wi-Fi, and I was enamored. This is really interesting, and I actually was working with someone who knew social media, and I had her follow up, and so it was close, but I was like, yeah, this guy has no background in this whatsoever. Ball aerospace, at the end of the day, it was a very hard investment recommendation. I was like, if you want to do it, I could do it, but at the end of the day, we're like, well, let's wait and see if this thing works. And every time I see Russ, I'm like, I just hope that you make me regret that more than anything else down the road. So yeah, I saw it, but I did get this. You were able to convey to me, you were going to turn blogs into social networks. And that was actually what I put in the not to invest recommendation.
It's a crazy idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to convey. And luckily, Boulder was a little ahead of the pack with, to be honest, Legit had a lot of the same model. They built a blog tool. It was a search engine for blogs. And they were figuring out a way to try and connect those together and make money from that. So at least there was a little bit of a headway in Boulder that people got the idea, oh, you're like Legit, but you're better. Just kidding. But seriously, there's more engagement there. They're talking to each other. They're having conversations, rather than more of a one-time utility. So, but it's definitely hard, and that's the pitching is an art form really, in how you phrase the conversation, how you order everything, and it was incredibly hard, especially because you're talking to when you're raising money, most angel investors come from very different spaces. They made their money time ago, probably in the early 2000s or late 90s, and the technology is all new and different to them. So
I was going to add one more thing about finding the team, and what I liked about Rustin was we wanted to build a company. I could see right away that Rustin was just he's a likable guy, and I've worked with enough senior people and seasoned entrepreneurs and investors and CEOs, and they're not all necessarily nice or ethical people. They can build great products and build a great business, and you may not enjoy working with them, and they may be kind of behind the scenes, just making decisions that you kind of go home at night and go, wow, was that, am I going to sleep tonight? And I did not want to start a company like that. I wanted to work with somebody who had the same core values that I did, had a culture of integrity and honesty and clarity and keeping things on the table, and that's a big part of our culture at BlogFrog. And I have to say it's probably one of my favorite startups, and that's a big reason why. You can create a startup, you can hire really good people, you can make money, you can form partnerships, and you can do it all with integrity and sleep really good at night. And also just keeping things on the table, like, that's what we wanted to defuse politics as fast as possible, and one way to do that is to be as transparent as possible. We share with our team every Monday in our all hands where we are with revenue, what our challenges are in the company. Since day one, and this is now going on 3.5 years, every Friday, Rustin and I go to lunch, and that is our check-in time. It's not about agendas, it's not about the product, it's how are we doing? It literally is like being in a relationship. It's like, I will literally say, is there anything you're not saying? Did I do anything this week to annoy you? And sometimes we'll have stuff for each other, and it's like, just find something. Because if we're not clean and on the table, and we don't have this stuff vibing, then if we don't have that, employees don't have it. If we're doing it, they're going to do it. And it sounds really corny, but it makes such a difference.
Really interesting. You're now at 35 employees. As the company scales up, this inclusive management approach, where it's following your in-person meeting on a weekly basis, sharing the numbers with the whole group, will that continue for the foreseeable future, or are you reaching a point where you don't want everybody in the company thinking like they're a co-founder?
We want them thinking like they're the CEO.
That's right. Really?
We tell them that's part of the culture. We say, be the CEO of your job, whether you write copy or you QA the site or you're a sales guy. We've got our sales guy in QA. You're the CEO. If an issue comes up, what if the person you would ask isn't there that day? What decision would you make? And he's been saying that since day one.
So yeah, we'll continue with it going forward, and other people, Scott Friend, who ran Irongate Systems, had the same approach, so we're not new in that. He ran open books up to $100 million in revenue company.
And we've also, we do share things, like we share what was happening on the funding side when we were raising funds. We share our revenue, we share our challenges, and yes, as you grow bigger, there's the risk that somebody will share that with somebody they weren't supposed. We were serving this influencer community, these bloggers, so we had built it up to we were at 60 or 70,000 influencers, and who were building communities, and we had brands who were coming to us saying, well, we want communities too, but we can't run them. We want them to be led by influencers. So we became the platform that powered their communities and we would match them with influencers to run their communities, and that was when we realized, wow, the brands have a real problem here, because they want engagement, they need content, and the other cool thing where the tables are turned, if you think about what the advertising spaces look like, ad agencies and marketing agencies know way more about how to influence you with advertising content than we as a consumer will probably ever know. But the tables are turned. Consumers know way more about social media and sharing than brands do. So they're at a place where they're learning, so we're actually bringing this social media content and strategies from the consumer side to brands. And in talking to brands, that was when we realized they've got lots of problems that we can solve, and they're willing to pay a lot of money for it.
And how do you do that without becoming an agency?
Right.
You did a sales drive test, 90-day test, right? Where you went out and...
Oh, we did. So we took the summer of 2009, and we gave ourselves 3 months, and we said, we're not going to hop on planes. We don't have we have no funding. We have no, we've got no revenue. We're very little revenue.
2010.
Was it 2010? Okay. So we said we're going to take 3 months, and we're going to pitch to any agency, PR agency, social media agency, and marketing company that we can drive to, that's 60 miles away. And we just got in front of as many agencies and brands as who would listen to us.